If you are like me and love flexing your NBA knowledge, you should head over to the best place to play fantasy sports. That's Underdog Fantasy. For me, I love the pick'em game. It's super simple to play too. All you gotta do is go to the Underdog Fantasy website or app, pick whether a player will have a higher or lower stat line for that game, get all your picks right, and you can win up to 20 times your money. And when you sign up, if you use my code Ferro, your deposit will get doubled. You can't beat that. Again, head over to today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy's website or app, use my code Ferro, and your first deposit will get doubled. We now know the NBA All-Stars that will grace All-Star Weekend this year taking place in Indianapolis. So how about we name the Eastern Conference starters and reserves in this video, and then in the next video right after this one, we'll upload the Western Conference All-Star starters, reserves, and a little bit of reaction. So out East, the captain this year for the 2024 NBA All-Star Game is none other than Giannis Antetokounmpo in the front court. He's joined by Jason Tatum. In the reigning regular season MVP Joel Embiid, we shall see what his status will be going forward. At guard, Tyrese Halliburton, representing Indiana, will get the hometown nod, and then Damian Lillard will also be gracing the game as a starter. From the reserves out East, congratulations to these dudes: Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics, Donovan Mitchell of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Jalen Brunson of the New York Knickerbockers, Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat, also Julius Randle of the Knicks, Tyrese Maxey alongside Embiid in Philadelphia, and then Paolo Banchero for the first time in his second season as an NBA All-Star representing the Orlando Magic. So real quick, I want to put on the screen how I had it versus how the coaches ended up having it from the reserves perspective. I'm good with the All-Star starters. Maybe. We'll talk about that more in a second. Here's the reserve that I had. So I had Trae Young. I had him as my first pick to be a reserve. He didn't make the game. We're going to talk about that more in a second. Outside of that, I pretty much had everything out East. I did terrible out West. We'll talk about that in the next video. I had Brunson, Maxey, Mitchell, Bam, Brown, and Randall. So clearly, I'm pretty good with everything, how it played out East, except this Trae Young thing, which is where I want to focus the remainder of this video. Trae Young, listen, man, I don't know who your confidants are or whoever is in your personal circle that you take advice from. Your dad, I know, is very much so a part of your life and helped you get to this great spot that you are in the league. Trae, I don't know who you take advice from, but if I were you, I would strongly consider a trade out of Atlanta. Listen, I went to a Lakers-Hawks game just the other night, and too many times over, I hear Hawk fans telling me how much they don't care for Trae Young, and that's interesting to me. I don't see Trae Young the way everybody that I know that's Hawks fans or that I just talk basketball with, I don't see Trae Young the way that most people see Trae Young. As a matter of fact, mostly the Atlanta Hawks fans are the worst ones. They're the most critical of their own guy. I look at Trae Young as a guy that deserves to be an all-star every single year. I'm looking at this Hawks squad. There's nobody else making the game. Yes, I know the Hawks have not been the greatest this year, but what we typically see is once a guy's able to make some plays in the playoffs, make some big shots in the playoffs, get to a conference finals, generally speaking, going forward, they're perennial all-stars, especially when the numbers are numbering. Trae Young last year around this time didn't get the nod for All-Star Weekend, averaging 26 and 9. This year, the dude that messed around and took his game to the next level. A mere 27 and 10 is what he's giving Atlanta per game. They're not out of play-in or play-off outright contention. They're right there in the thick of things out East. They have not been the greatest team, but last time I checked, DeJounte Murray is not an all-star, and we start getting into the guys like the Jalen Johnson of the world. He's an incredible talent, but he's still young and not there yet. And he don't even get me started on some of these dudes that have underwhelmed to me, like the DeAndre Hunters of the world and Bogey sometimes shooting behind. Trae Young, if I were you, I would consider a trade because it does not appear that the NBA values your current location and the team you play for. You're getting snubbed and screwed. And I'll take it a step further, Trae. I'm talking to these damn Hawk fans. It does not appear that these Hawks fans value you enough either. If I'm Ice Trae, I'm pissed at how this continues to play out in regards to his legacy. I think it's the most ridiculous snub. Now, let's have the honest conversation here. If Ice Trae is going into the game, who does Ferro have coming out of the game? We can't just create a new spot. Trae Young's probably going to get the nod because Julius Randle is injured, maybe even Joel Embiid. But I got a hot take for that ass. A lot of people not going to agree with this one. I look at the reserves, and I said, who do I want to pull out? Out the gate, I thought Paolo Banchero was the most obvious choice, right? This is his first time getting the game. Banchero's a stud. He's going to make the game many years in his career. I could argue Orlando, who got off to a really good start, they came back a little bit to the field. I could argue Paolo Banchero ain't had as good a season as Trae Young. I'm going to do something different this year. I've never done this in my life. I want Paolo Banchero to stay in the game. He's not who I'm taking out of the game. I'm going to the starters. I have never done this in my life. There's an all-star game starter that's sitting right there who's got Trae Young's spot. There is no way on God's green earth that you're telling me Damian Lillard has had a better season than Trae Young. He ain't had a better season than Jalen Brunson. We'll give you that because Dame's obviously more popular than Brunson. Playing in Milwaukee, being a great first ballot Hall of Famer that Dame is, we get that one. But the more I go through this list, the more I think the fans, the more I think the media got it wrong. Damian Lillard is the one that's got to go for Trae Young. And I'm good with if you say, okay, Brunson gets the all-star start and then Young comes off the bench. I'm good with that. What I'm telling you is, for the first time ever, I'm telling you there is an all-star game starter that not only does not deserve to be a starter, Damian Lillard does not deserve to make that all-star game over Trae Young. He has not been great this year. He has not. All these damn 3 for 14 shooting games he done had playing alongside Giannis. The Bucks got a great record, oftentimes despite the player Dame. That's where I land. I mean, hell, he plays with one of the 2-3 greatest players in the world. If Jamal Murray ain't make the game out west, Damian Lillard ain't been a cent better than Jamal Murray this year. That's who's got to come out. And it's disrespectful to Young to not be in that game and for Dame to be in it just because of his name. I mentioned to y'all earlier in this video, generally, when you start having the success in the playoffs and the numbers are numbering, you stick in that all-star game. Well, Dame's numbers are declining a tad bit. He has not had a lot of playoff success over the last few years. I don't understand that one bit. Y'all let me know what are your thoughts on the all-star reserves out east. I have one big complaint. I do not have many complaints out east. Now, out west, you're going to want to tune into that one. I got complaints all over the damn place. That video is coming up next. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the great quality content. I am not with the NBA on this one. I'm not with the coaches on this one. I think Trae Young got snubbed. A legit case can be made for him.
I want to salute you, homie, you know, for building your own thing and doing your own thing.
Why build theirs when I believe I can build my own?
You've already done it, or I wouldn't be here.
I'm already the only elite sports and music journalist in the game today. My goal is simple, to be the best there's ever been. So, please don't go. Make sure you subscribe and follow the journey. It truly means everything to me. I tell stories. I talk music. I cover sports. I am culture. I am Ferro.